Hi, everybody. My name is Patrick McKenzie, perhaps better known as Patio11 on the internet. So I sometimes get asked what I do, and I'm kind of confused at it myself. I was going to town hall recently to file my taxes, and I was across the street from town hall. The light was preventing me from getting across the street. And by the way, I live in Japan. And the guy comes up to me on a cycle, stops right next to me and says, "Psst, Toro desu ka?" And my brain started to, flip through like all the possible things that could be, and I'm like, high probability for those characters, choro, day laborer. Are you a day laborer? And I was like, wow, there's only one way I can answer that. Yeah, but my rates are probably a little high for you. If you were here last year, you heard the grand arc of my transition from really overworked Japanese salaryman to totally not working all that much bingo card empire guy. It's really not all that great shakes compared to some of the things that people have done up here. But it's the little website that could. It has over 200,000 users, 6,056 paying customers. I'm pretty happy with where it got me to. And just for a little update on the story for last year, if you weren't here for last year, it's on my blog somewhere. I'm sure people will tweet out the link to that video if they're very, very nice and kind to me. But just an update. So the blue bars here are the 12 months before attending MicroConf, and the red bars are the last 12 months, so after attending MicroConf. So since my business is crazily seasonal, if the red bar is above the blue bar, I'm doing something right. And as you can see, in the last 6 months, the red bar is routinely exceeding the blue bar. So I was doing something very right. And the thing that I was doing was stopping working on Bingo Card Creator. So my first actionable tip is if you have me in charge of your marketing, like say Jason Cohen does, you need to fire me and your sales will go up by 50%. But we're not going to talk too much about Bingo Card Creator today. We're instead going to talk about systems. You heard earlier about building the flywheel, being a growth hacker. This is probably one of the most important things I've ever come across, but a job is a system that turns time into money, and a business is a system that turns systems into money. I was once talking to a Japanese guy at a large automobile manufacturer in central Japan that you might have know of, and I said, T-Corp is known in America as a company that makes cars, and Ford or whatever is a company that sells cars. And he said, just kind of patted me on the head like, oh, nice, silly American. Ford might well be a company that sells cars, but T-Corp is a company that builds organizations that builds cars. And I thought that was a very profound distinction. And all of us are in the business of building things that help us sell things that we build. And I think we are ideally situated to this because as engineers, we build systems. You heard earlier about the term growth hack, which is just on the cusp of becoming a meme, by the way. You're going to hear a lot about that over the next coming days because there are huge platforms these days, everything from Pinterest to Twitter to Google to the App Store, that give you ready access to hundreds of millions of users, billions of users, many of whom have credit cards and will actually pay money for things. And as engineers, we have the capability of exploiting those platforms in a scalable manner. Some of the ways to do it I talked about last year, and I don't want to give all old content. So if you want to hear about SEO, which is the main reason my sales went up for this year, just watch the thing from last year. We're going to talk about new stuff. Oh, totally stealing a slide from last year. So in addition to Bingo Card Creator, there were 3 really big things going on, and I just want to give you updates on them. So the most important one, down in the bottom there. Last year I said something kind of out of school. It wasn't planned for the talk or anything, it just slipped out of my mouth. I said the most important thing in my life right now is I've recently met a beautiful young lady, Miss Ruriko Shimada over there, and she is going to be the future Mrs. McKenzie. And that was the first time that thought ever got verbalized even in the deepest recesses of my mind. So luckily it was not simulcast or anything. That's official now. It's happening June 26th. So thanks very much. I don't have a picture of kids for obvious reasons, but can I just make a note about this? Everyone has shown a picture of their children or significant other, and at a less charitable conference, people might be, oh, that's the boring stuff. Skip that, get to the good stuff. All those other pictures, that is the good stuff. There's a word in Japanese called mono no aware. It means an awareness of the impermanence of things. All this conversion rates and equity grants and profits and all this Vegas Oh, this will all be dust and memories. What the important part of our lives is our families, our friends. That is what we will be known for. So if you have a successful business and your family isn't feeling it, something is going terribly, terribly wrong. But I can't just stand up here and say my fiancée is the nicest, smartest, most wonderful, beautiful woman in the world for the entire hour. So just like include platitudes.h, not platitudes, compliments.h. I don't speak the English. Anyhow, updates on other things that are going on. So I got a slide up from Fog Creek, which was one of my favorite clients that I can publicly talk about. But I don't really have much content in this presentation about, I don't know how I did that. I don't have much content in this presentation about running a high-priced consulting business. Is that something you guys are interested in, just like a show of hands? I'm a marketing guy, so I'm going to give you the quick elevator pitch, and if you want to hear about this, we can talk about it like at the question and answer session. Is it interesting to you how I turned down $700,000 a year to do conversion optimization for big software companies? Just raise a show of hands. Would that be like fun? Or, oh, okay. So we might talk about that before questions. We're going to talk a little about appointment reminders, stuff that I learned the second time I tried to make a software business from the ground up, and how you can apply it to your businesses. So this is my new thing, which is, by the way, in almost direct competition to somebody who was in the first session of Teardowns. So you might like compare and contrast to the way I do it and the way he does it. I actually went up to him afterwards and tried to teach him what I know about this, because people helping people is what this event is all about, and we all get better, even if we're competitors sharing knowledge. Anyhow, it makes appointment reminder phone calls, text messages, and email messages to the clients of professional services businesses. So this is a wee bit more sophisticated than my bingo thingy. Why did I pick this problem? This is the slide in which I give bad advice. The way you should actually pick a problem, like skip back to your notes from Amy Hoy's presentation. That's the way you should pick a problem. This is not the way you should pick a problem, but it's true, so I'll tell you it anyhow. So you see this jacket that I wear in all of my presentations because the color red looks good on me, and I love this company, Twilio. Twilio came out with this product that let web developers basically script up phone calls and SMS messages. And I thought, ooh, that's kind of awesome. And I like to view the market in like the sense of the broad capital C capitalism sense of the market as a placid lake which incorporates everything that we know about the world right now. And when new information gets added to that, it's like dropping a rock in the lake. Ripples in the lake are change, and the larger the ripple is, the more change there is, the more possibility there is to get outsized profits over the course of the world right now, because like we learned from Microeconomics 101, the natural state of profits in the system is zero, in the steady state. And Twilio was like dropping a big effing rock into the software world, because you can finally interface with the plain old telephone system without having to understand what an asterisk server is. And if anyone here has ever tried to hack asterisks, I'm sorry for you. So what could I do with a telephone that I couldn't do before? I made a list of like 400 ideas and just sat on it because I was still at the day job at the time. And since I spend like 16 hours a day in front of a computer screen, my shoulders ache like crazy. So I sometimes go to massage therapists. And this one day I went into a massage therapist and asked, hey, can I get a shoulder massage? Because I'm an engineer, my shoulder aches like crazy. And she said, it's going to be about 2 hours. I'm like, well, I'm gainfully unemployed, so that's no problem. I'll just take my iPad, browse Hacker News in the corner here for a little while, and then we'll get the massage when you can do it. 15 minutes later, she comes back to me and says, hey, I know I told you it would take 2 hours, but it would be really, really helpful for me if I could massage your shoulders right now. I said, oh, sure, no problem. Can I ask why? And she said, well, I had this slot booked up with somebody else, but he didn't come in, and now he's 15 minutes late. And if I don't start massaging your shoulders now, that's going to throw off the schedule for the rest of the day, and I'll never get the revenue from these next 45 minutes back. Like, ooh, that's interesting. Why didn't you call him? And notable and quotable line from her, she says, I'm a massage therapist. If my hands are on a telephone, they're not on someone's back. And if my hands are not on someone's back, I'm not making money. And I thought, ooh, that's interesting. So I asked, if I had a system that could call someone automatically before their appointment with you, and would that be motivational to you? And she said, yeah. So I went through my list of 400 things and thought, ooh, this is the first one I've had an actual customer need for. How did I know it would sell, though? That's one person. So what I did two things. One thing I did was just whipped up the MVP, minimum viable product. Read Eric Ries's book, The Lean Startup. Everyone should read that book. It's amazing. I whipped up the MVP, which is a website. You can get to it. I'll show you the link later. And it just, you give in your phone number, and it calls you just like you had an appointment and says, hey, you've got an appointment, click 1 to confirm. And then if you confirm, it shows right on the schedule here, this person confirmed. And if you cancel, it says, this person canceled. We would email you right now so you can rebook this slot and save the money. And I just threw this up on the internet and waited. And people signed up for my pre-launch list. I said, that is exactly what my problem is. The other way I did was I went home to Chicago, which is where my family is from, and took out $400 from an ATM and walked around downtown Chicago and looked for like salons and other massage therapists, that sort of thing. I walked in and said, hey, do you take walk-ins? Yeah. Are you free right now? Yeah. Are you the business owner? Yeah. Okay. I've got a weird proposition for you, and no, not that kind of weird. What's the rate on a 30-minute shoulder massage? She would tell me. It's almost always she. And I would say, okay, I'm going to pay you the rate for a 30-minute shoulder massage, but what I'm really interested in, I'm a small businessman, I live in Japan, I'm interested in the business of massage therapy. So how about we just skip to that like post-massage cup of tea that you're going to offer me? I have learned this over the years. Skip to the post-massage cup of tea. I'm going to pick your brains about how you run your business, and then I'll go, no massage needed, and you get your money. And almost everybody took me up on that, and nobody called the police. Yay. And so I would ask questions like, what do you use for your appointment scheduling right now? Pen and paper, version 1.0. How many people cancel? Lots. Do you not like when people cancel? Yes. Do you phone call people every day? Well, yeah, I kind of do, but I sometimes forget, yada, yada, yada. And then the money question. If I had something that I could show you right now that would call, would you pay for it? Yes. Would you pay $30 a month for it because $30 a month is close to your rate for just saving one appointment? Yes. Can I get your email address right now? As soon as this is ready, I'm going to come back to you and say, it's ready. Let's get that $30 a month. And I just collected those. And I actually didn't end up selling any one of those people. But the need was clearly demonstrated to me there. I've got a better way for doing it these days because, as I mentioned, I'm in kind of the talking to people about wedding things. And I'm learning stuff about like selling wedding dresses because I am the unwitting victim of that. And so there's this thing called the iPad, and every salesman at like a wedding venue or a wedding dress shop or whatever in Japan is using the iPad. And I predict within 5 years that every salesman in the entire world will consider that their key sales tool. And the reason is, when you have a sales discussion with someone with the iPad, you are sitting next to them, standing next to them, kind of hunched over their shoulder in a very kind of intimate, psychologically reassuring way, while they drive the iPad and flip through, oh, that's a lovely dress. Oh, that's lovely. I really like that one. You like that one? I'll show you more like that. Boom, boom. And when they get confused, you can just like take over for them, do the little like slidey thing, and it is a very, very persuasive technique. So if you don't know whether a software will sell or not, mock up like go to Woo Themes or go to ThemeForest, pay $15 or $70 or whatever it is, mock up 3 screens from it, or even mock up 2 screens plus the final output. Put them in a just photo gallery on your iPad and take it directly to people in real life. Stand out and then listen over the shoulder. It's like, do you really have a wedding dress problem? We got these. And if you are solving an actual people, they will say, a problem people actually have, they will say at this point, shut up and take my money. If you are not solving it, so if someone says, oh, that's kind of interesting, yeah, tell me when that exists, you have not successfully identified a problem that people actually have. Fail to identify problems prior to spending 6 months of your life building the solution to those problems that no actual human being aside from you actually experiences in their life. You will have much better success that way. Brief interlude on pricing. This was brought up in a few things, and we kind of treated it at a high level, so I thought I would dig into the nuts and bolts, considering many of you are in the software as a service business. Here's how to read a pricing grid. This one's from Wufoo. You have seen similar things all over the internet. I can't tell you about exact results I've gotten from customers, but I talked to a lot of people about this sort of thing, so for just kind of anonymizing, here's how you read it. Find the largest dollar amount plan. That plan generates 33% to 50% of gross revenue. Why? Because it's sold to people who are not spending their own money. They're spending a corporate budget. And spending your own money hurts, but spending a corporate budget is kind of a happy thing for a lot of people. Because, check this out, if you don't spend your budget, it gets taken away from you. So if you're trying to protect your own position at a company, you want to spend as close to the top of that budget as possible. So help people out in their, trying to protect their status and job security by helping them spend their budgets. Because $200 a month is nothing to a company that has actual employees. The cheapest possible fully loaded cost for a college graduate is about $4,000 a month. $200 a month is like 5% of that. So if you're only saving 1 or 2 hours of employee time a month, $200 is a total no-brainer. So is $250. Anyhow, the one that has the most users. Nobody likes to be a cheapskate. Boom, it's this one. The one that has the highest support costs. So Wufoo has a free plan. I'll guarantee you they get more annoying emails from people on the free plan than anything else put together, probably squared. The worst customers, I call them pathological customers, are attracted to things that don't have a lot of money. And it's amazing how many people have told me this. You raise prices and you deal with less crazy people. At 99 cents, people have very unreasonable expectations. What? This flashlight app didn't do my taxes. 1 star! But when you're charging people tens of thousands of dollars a month for an enterprise level service, they say, hey, our business really needs this feature. Oh, thanks for the email. I would really love to implement that feature, but we're kind of constrained on time right now. Can I get back to you in the indefinite future if we get time to do that? You'll get a 1-line email back. Sure, that sounds great. Would you rather deal with the no stress and get the tens of thousands of dollars, or 1 star for 99 cents? It's almost self-explanatory. By the way, I've sold a semi-B2C product for most of my life. I really do love teachers, even when they're kind of exasperating and can't tell the difference between the blue Googles and the green Googles and don't understand why they can't get a CD of the internet. Actually happened to me today. But in terms of if I could go, knowing now, if I had known then what I know now, I would never go into B2C. Charge businesses, charge them value appropriate to what you're, charge them a price appropriate to the value you're providing. By the way, a big surprise about software as a service companies, almost everyone has enterprise pricing available. Some of them don't put it on your things, but I guarantee you, there's a way to go up to Wufoo, go up to almost any plan that tops any software as a service company, and pay arbitrary amounts of money for their product. For example, if you have a $500,000 budget and you talk to somebody at Wufoo, I will guarantee you that they will find an option to spend $500,000. Maybe it's we send a trainer and teach everyone how to use their drag and drop form building interface. And then the cost of the trainer's time is $500 an hour. At the business will say, oh, sure, yeah, whatever. And then, by the way, that you need to purchase a service level agreement with that, and the service level agreement runs $20,000 a month. And there are businesses that will happily pay that. Next. So software as a service economics 101. Why do you want to charge closer to the top of these pricing points instead of the bottom of the pricing points? Because you have to get a lot less customers to generate the revenue that you want as to either replace the day job or to meet whatever your own personal goal is. By the way, we're going to do, So how do you segment plans? First, align it with customer success. Gating based on features can work, but if there's a numeric thing that allows you to discriminate between customer classes such that the more value they get out of the product, the more X number that they need, segment primarily based on that X number. It doesn't have to be linear segmentation because the ability of Fortune 500 companies to pay is not linear with respect to the size of the company. A 1,000-person company is not the same as collecting 1,000 one-man companies and putting them all in a room together. They have orders of magnitude more money, so you should probably be charging them orders of magnitude more money. Names matter. So back in my time as a Japanese salaryman, I was given a project to run by my boss, and I was trying to buy, I think, Crazy Egg for it. And I did the projection. I wrote up the proposal for my boss and said, by the way, we need the $9.99 hobbyist Crazy Egg plan, and could you please approve the purchase for that? Boss takes my printed out proposal for the project, looks down at hobbyist, goes over to crazyegg.com, strikes it out in red, writes enterprise, picks the top plan, which was like $250 or $500 or something a month at the time, something like a quarter of my salary, and says, okay, here's the new proposal. Sign off on it, and then I'll assign it to my boss. And I said, boss, we don't need the enterprise plan. Our projected traffic is clearly under the hobbyist plan. And he says, well, if I'm going to tell my boss that I want a reimbursement request for the hobbyist plan, so we're under the enterprise plan. I was like, oh, can I get the enterprise salary? That did not work out so well. Notice I no longer work there. Anyhow, feature segmentation can work, particularly if you have features where there's a hard requirement among some customers that they must have a particular feature, and that segments people into has a little money and has a lot of money. For example, healthcare in the United States has more money than God, and something that a lot of healthcare customers are going to be very particular at is this HIPAA compliant? Talk to me later if you want the full story on that one, but the magic words, is this HIPAA compliant, means you can charge them as much money as you want. And by the way, you can have a system where all accounts are actually HIPAA compliant, but you only tell people that the most expensive plan is HIPAA compliant. And because they're not actually caring about HIPAA compliance, they're caring about being able to sign off on the fact of HIPAA compliance. If you simply refuse to sign off on that fact for anything that costs less than $1,000 a month, all of your healthcare clients are going to go for the $1,000 a month plan, which is, by the way, nothing in healthcare. Charge more, charge more, charge more, charge more, charge more. Anyone have a question about pricing? You should charge more. You're probably ridiculously underpricing. $4,000 a month is the cost of the cheapest possible employee. You are less than a tenth of that. You are probably creating a lot more value than many employees in the organization. So charge for the value you are creating. So I was doing teardowns earlier. Here's what I put up for my pricing grid about a year ago, and since I haven't had all that much time to work on Appointment Reminder, I made a lot of mistakes, and I haven't fixed them yet. So I'm going to do teardowns of my own pricing grid. I have a $9 a month plan. That was a mistake. So I actually have a lot of customers on the $9 a month plan. They account for about 80% of my customer support requests and approximately 95% of my headaches. And they pay me approximately nothing and don't stick with the service for very long. I have an enterprise plan that's coming soon, any day now, a year later. There's actually a plan that isn't even on here. It's $200 a month. It's just, I call it Small Business 2 because I'm very creative like that. And it's just small business, and I bump this number up a little. And Small Business 2 plus small business create over half of my revenues that are based on this plan. Oh, quick update on Appointment Reminder, like quadrupled in a year without me doing much work on it at all. End story, just makes systems. It really helps. Yeah. Okay, so a tactic you should all probably steal. Can you raise your hands, everybody? Just get a little stretching. Okay, now put your hands down if you have not emailed a lot of customers all at once this month. Okay, so if you look around the room and you're looking for speakers, you will find almost all the speakers still have their hands up. And this is one of the things that consistently segregates like the really savvy people. Yeah, you can put your hands down. Consistently segregates really savvy people from folks who are not quite at that level of savviness yet. So of course, I didn't really seriously start collecting emails for like 6 years. This guy, Ramit Sethi, is one of the smartest people on the internet in terms of marketing. He says, the one like dope moment is that I was not building up an email list. You heard earlier about an email list is creating your own recurring stream of earned media, because there are people who want to hear what you have to say, they trust you on a subject, and they are begging you to sell them on your solution. So you should be getting those emails. Let's talk about how. Oh, why does email rock? Now, some people, because we're all techies, might say, well, if I want to get in touch with someone about a new blog post I wrote, well, there's RSS feeds for that, right? Email is like RSS, except better in every possible way. Email is actually read. You know, quick show of hands, who here has over 10,000 unread items in their Google Reader? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Email is actually read by real people too, and by real people I mean folks who don't come to conferences like this and who have authority to sign off on $500 a month purchases without breaking a single sweat. Email is a necessary time, whereas like RSS reading is, I don't have anything important to do today, so I'll just like, so if I don't have anything important to do today, I might read some RSS stuff. Whereas email is, if you're an information worker like all of us, email is your job, right? You live in your inbox. Many, many things in the inbox get read, particularly when they sound interesting. And the psychology of email is really important. Like, you know, if I put a diamond in a trash store, you're probably going to think that diamond is not worth so much. Think of the things that will be around your message in somebody's inbox. It'll be a lot of important work. If that's all important, your message probably important as well. Think of the things that are probably going to be around your blog post or content in someone's RSS feed or in someone's like bookmark manager. It's probably going to be a lot of commoditized internet dreck that they're going to get to the first day after never. I mean, if you do like free association for, say, what's like spirit animal of email? It's Thunderbird. It's fast. It's powerful. It does important shit. And if you do like free association with what's an animal that we can associate with like bookmark systems, and what would it be? A cow? It's like fat, stupid, shits. So do email instead. So when I say do email, what do I mean? Really simple. Collect their email addresses, educate them over the email, and then sell them stuff. Let's go into detail on that. So for a successful landing page, you really only need a few things. Just ask for the minimum possible information from them, probably their email address and their name, because everyone likes hearing their name, and you should probably put in subject lines, because that'll increase click-through, open rates on your emails quite a bit. So give them a nice, attractive button that promises value, not pain. Get something cool. Does anyone here run a website for like sadomasochists? Okay, there are no hands up in the room, which means that nobody should have submit as the text on their email button. Now, minimize distractions on that page. You generally don't want to be collecting email from your homepage. Why? Because your homepage has to serve many masters. You're probably trying to get people into the trial, get them into the pricing grid. You should generally be collecting email on dedicated landing pages. And what will you have on your dedicated landing pages? A sweetener. Because people don't really care about you, they care about themselves. So tell them that giving you their email will accomplish something for them. Let's go into ways to do that. The simplest possible way to get permission from someone to send them email is when they're signing up for the trial, say, hey, in addition to that trial, can I send you email? Just takes adding one box. Downside, it's going to like minorly decrease your conversion rate to a free trial. Upside, you'll get crazy conversion rates on this. By the way, who here hates email and thinks, man, I hate getting email. I would never click on, yes, I want to get email from you. Yeah, hands up. Real people don't hate email. Some people like email a lot. So I have a newsletter that goes out to the bingo card people, and it's about monthly. And I sent it out for October and said, hey, Halloween bingo cards. You make them by going to Bingo Card Creator and typing about Halloween stuff. And then the November email is predictably Thanksgiving bingo cards. You make them by going to Bingo Card Creator and typing about Thanksgiving stuff. And I didn't hit the send button on the November email because I just got busy that month. And I got 3 messages from teachers in America. All of them saying, hey, I didn't get the email from you in November. I must have like missed it or something, or it got eaten by the Googles. Can you please send me the email for November? And I wrote back and I said, well, there just wasn't an email for November because I got busy, but it was just going to be about Thanksgiving stuff. They're like, that's sad. I want to read about the Thanksgiving stuff. Like, whoa, missed opportunity. A better way to do things than collecting emails with your trials is to create some specific incentive. For example, Ruben from BidSketch uses beautifully designed templates of proposals and says, okay, I will give you a beautifully designed template of a proposal. You can turn around and make this into money. And all you need to do for that is to give me your email address so I can email you a link to it. Works very, very well. You can see incredibly high conversion rates to this. And the people who convert to, I care enough about beautifully designed templates to give an email address just to get a download link for them, are not the kind of folks who hang out in Hacker News like it's their job. It's the people who really care about this. They make really great prospects for selling to. Third way.
On that form, it didn't say that you were giving permission to do anything else with the name and email.
I think it actually does. I just cut it off with the screen grab. Okay, a different way, and this has vastly higher development costs, but you should consider doing it. Make a one-off tool, gate access to the one-off tool based on giving your email address. For example, WP Engine does this kind of well. They have a tool that will tell you if your website is slow, and it will only tell you, it takes a few seconds to run and whatnot, so rather than just doing Ajax refresh, they'll say, hey, we'll send you a link to your report when it's ready. And they give you a little option there. Hey, in addition to hearing if my website is slow, I'd also like to hear a 1-month course about how to fix that and make it more scalable, make it more secure and whatnot. Get Jason drunk later and ask if this works or not. That can provide, this sort of thing can provide very focused, valuable leads for you, and it leads into, it's like a great transition moment into their first couple of emails from you. Let's talk about that. So there's kind of a cycle here of how salesy you get. Like someone is coming off the internet, they don't trust you, they don't know you from Adam. So for your first couple of emails over the course of a month, and you might send 6 emails or 8 emails over the course of a month, depending on how much of a high-touch sales, complex sales process your service requires. For the first couple of emails, you focus on trust building and education, and that's it. Like if you were just talking about, someone's website is slow, say, hey, thanks for signing up for the WP Engine 1-month course on improving your WordPress site. Here's 3 ways you can make your website faster. And very focused on value for the customer, minimal, if any, sales content for WP Engine. Then, over time, as you have built up credibility with the customer over 3 emails, they've seen your name in their inbox, they're starting to associate it with your problem domain, and they're getting value out of it. You start getting a little more salesy, and you push up that sales lead to the maximum point. And then if they don't buy by the maximum point, they're probably not ready for your offering. So you back down a little bit, go more on the education again, and then try it again, but sell a different product offering. For example, a different plan. I just kind of threw up a random thing here for a template for an email that educates someone about something. It's not really rocket science. It's the 3-paragraph hamburger essay that you all learned to write in 6th grade. I hesitate to say this, but don't be afraid of dumbing it down too much. You all live in your problem domain many, many hours a day for months, weeks at a time. Most of your customers are not super awesome ninja rockstar experts at your problem domain. So teach them the basic stuff, because most people in your problem domain are beginners or intermediate, not super experts. Feel free to share of your knowledge and answer basic questions that they have. And then at the end, just say, hey, do you have a question about this? Send me an email. I read all of them. Almost none of you who have less than hundreds of thousands of customers would feel any burden from getting email back from this, because most people think, oh, he doesn't really mean that. In fact, you will get emails saying, do you actually read this? And then you fire back, yes, signed CEO. And I guarantee you, if they have money, you've just got a customer for life. Even if you have hundreds of thousands of customers, as for Bingo Card Creator, the email load is kind of manageable. And you can give them options for more things to do to convert. Okay, so when you're getting to that salesy hump on the graph, what do? First, you eliminate all decision-making that they need to do aside from, do I accept the offer or no? Which means if you have 4 plans, you don't say, okay, go to the pricing page and pick which of the 4 plans is worth it for you. No, give them a recommendation. Say, most of our customers find that this is the best value. You should buy this. Here's the reasons why you should buy this. It will solve your problems. It will solve your problems. It will solve your problems. Your life will get better. Your problem's solved. You. Offer them a time-limited bonus. Yeah, you could have gotten to that pricing page at any time over the last 365 days, but if you take me up on this offer in the next 7 days, I will give you something cool. It's up to you what that something cool can be. For many of you, assistance directly from the CEO in integration is a really compelling offer because, wow, you can't get that anywhere else. Wow, their perceived value for that is very high, and it immediately addresses one of the objections that they have for using your software. It's like, oh, God, I have to integrate that. I have to copy-paste scripts into my web page. We'll do the copy-pasting for you, and thereby earn your loyalty for the next several years and several $1,000s of customer lifetime value, and it will actually be done by a freelancer that we've hired and told them how to FTP stuff. I think I stole that one from Rob. Works pretty well. and pre-answer all their objections in the email and on any page that you link them to. This is what we were talking about earlier in the teardowns. If you have a customer testimonial, well, when you're talking to customers, you're hearing their objections like, the price is too high. Find the customer testimonial that says, oh yeah, I winced, but man, it's so worth it. And put that right on the page about answering the pricing objection with, okay, here's how you calculate the value for this. It's a screamingly good deal for you. It will save you hundreds of hours of employee time for only tens of thousands of dollars. Okay, how do you learn about writing email and copywriting better? I suggest signing up for a lot of email and getting it from people because they will convince you to buy all sorts of stuff. Seriously, Ramit Sethi, I did a call out to him earlier. He is a genius at this. I found myself, he's a friend of mine. I know he sells info courses for a living. I've never bought an info course on anything. I was reading his email. I sent him an email at the end of it because he says, respond to all my emails. And I'm like, hey, Ramit, this is Patrick. I would crawl over broken glass right now to hand you my credit card. Wow. Seriously, get his emails. They're good stuff. And in addition to teaching you how to write email better, they are genuinely worth your time if you're concerned with increasing your career and or freelancing business. The Motley Fool does investment advice. It's bad investment advice, but they sell it really, really well. And then for any sort of scummy market, I don't know, online nursing degrees or anything, people who are paying $100 plus just to get an email for that probably know what they're doing or they'd be bankrupt already. So you can see what kind of works and then use your powers for good, not evil. Okay, so more specific to software people, let's talk about the first run experience of your software. Now, hand up, who here knows how many people come back to using their software after the first time? That is something we check. Okay, there's a few hands going up here. Almost everyone should check that. For those of you who aren't checking it, I'm just going to tell you the numbers right now. It is between 40 and 60% of people come back after using it the first time, which subtract from 100, 60 to 40% of people never use the software a second time because they did not perceive much value in the first time use of your software. They got bored of it after 10 seconds or within 5 minutes. So you should make that first 5 minutes of the software effing sing because it is the most important 5 minutes in your lifetime because every subsequent use of the software is gated based on surviving that first 5 minutes that most of your users are not surviving right now. So can I just show you software here? Who here thinks that this is a fun first 5 minutes for software? So Microsoft can get away with this because your first 5 minutes with using Microsoft Word were probably in 1992, and you had to do it to pass a class, and Microsoft is Microsoft, and you absolutely have to use this if you want to work in the information economy. But it's kind of sucky because there's just so many options here. It starts you with a blank screen, and you have no clue if this was a free trial product. What do I do to get value out of Microsoft Word to make the decision on the go or no go for buying this? Microsoft, that isn't really a problem because you've already bought this if you're seeing this screen. But if this reminds you of your software at all, if you drop people into a blank screen, that is a huge failure mode. So you're going to fix that. How? You script their first 5 minutes like it is the invasion of Normandy. You are going to do this, and then 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 you are going to be effing happy. Can I give you a great example of that? Who here has played World of Warcraft? Yeah, okay, a few hands. Who here managed a raid guild in World of Warcraft for a few years? Okay, so the first 5 minutes of World of Warcraft is literally, all right, you talk to this guy, there's a big exclamation point on his head, and it says, right-click the guy with the big exclamation point. You right-click him, and he says, you need to save the world from a wolf. There's a wolf behind you, you can kill it with Z. Z, 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 Z. So you Z, 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 you kill the wolf. And you go back to the guy, he's got another big exclamation point. You right-click, because you've learned that works in the world. And he says, great job, save the world. There's 10 wolves, kill them. And you get Z and X this time. ZX, ZX, ZX. So you ZX, ZX, ZX. And you have a feedback loop where it's both teaching you on how to use the software and you feel like, yeah, I'm the powerful, level 1 gnome mage that is going to spend the next 3,000 hours of my life playing this game. But it's a great, awesome experience for you. And at the end of 5 minutes, you've accomplished something and you've learned how to use the software. All of your software should be that addicting. Sign up for the free trial of World of Warcraft. Play the first 5 minutes. Then stop. So you measure their activity, and then you use A/B testing like we talked about last year to change their activity. This is where the growth hacking comes in and making sure the kind of designing their first user experience of the software is actually motivational. So here's you're going to do this, then you're going to do this, then you're going to do this, then you're going to do this funnel for Bingo Card Creator instrumented out in Kissmetrics, which is, by the way I would go if I had any budget at all to spend on it. I don't know what I spend on it. It's probably like $150 a month or nothing. But you can write arbitrary code to do something like this and just throw it into a file if you need to. Anyhow, so you can see here where people are falling out of the funnel if you're into bingo cards, like that's your life. And you can try things to get them to actually work. I don't really have enough time to talk about what really worked here, but the punchline here is that a particular intervention increases the amount of people who successfully get through to printing a bingo card with Bingo Card Creator by 10%, from 60% to 70%, which is really powerful for me. And if you read my blog, I've blogged about what exactly this was. It actually didn't increase sales, weirdly enough, but similar things that I did with only 2 hours of work increased sales by like 16% for 2 hours of work, durably, tens of thousands of dollars for 2 hours of work. Very motivational. You should probably do it. Okay, so you fix the weak spots in the funnel that you've identified once you have the funnel analytics in. Here's just some examples of things that worked for Bingo Card Creator. Probably not too motivational for you, but they paid for my wedding, so motivational to me. Dan gave a great example earlier in the growth hacking talk about people, they've just signed up and they can tweet something, but they weren't really planning on tweeting something. They don't know what to tweet, so they don't tweet. And then they go away and never use the app again. You say, hey, you should tweet something right now. Let me give you 10 suggestions. Pick which one you like. And from 6% of the people who went through and actually tweeted something to 70+% of the people tweeted something, which is a huge epic win in activation. Activation just means happy use of the software. I guarantee you, if you haven't optimized this at all, you can achieve extraordinary gains in activation for not all that much work. And the thing that worked for appointment reminder was implementing a tour mode. What is a tour mode? So appointment reminder has kind of suboptimal things about the way the market uses it in terms of getting people through their 30-day free trial. I actually collect credit card at the start, and then they get 30 days to decide whether they want to cancel or not. The problem is that people typically make their appointments for their customers well in advance. So by the time the 30-day mark rolls around, appointment reminder might not have actually reminded a single customer about appointments because they were scheduled that far in advance. So that's sucky. And they get the last day, they get to the email, it's like, hey, we're charging your credit card in 24 hours. If you don't want that, cancel. I think, oh, this hasn't really done anything for me, cancel. So rather than making it take 6 weeks for them to perceive value from appointment reminder and to have people come into their massage therapy practice or whatever their business is, I wanted to expose that value to them in the first 5 minutes. So I just dragged them by the nose through using the software. Instead of calling their customer, I made a special little mode where it would call them instead and say, hey, this is your fake appointment reminder. If you actually had an appointment, it would be 5 minutes from now. Click 1 to confirm it. Bing, they click 1. Like, great, that's the experience your customer gets. Now let me show you how to do that generally. And it walks them through this crazy, obtuse interface because I'm not an interface designer. It says, yeah, put in 555, 555, 555, 555 for one of the clients, and we'll schedule an appointment for them. And it walks through every step of the workflow and tells them, okay, and this is where someone might actually cancel your appointment, and normally that sucks, but we're going to send you an email, and that's going to make you money. Isn't that great? You're having fun now. Tell people that they're having fun now. It's a big secret in Vegas. I bet there's people running around in skimpy dresses with a lot of alcohol in their hands, which are trying to tell you all the time, hey, you're having fun, hey, you're having fun, hey, you're having fun. Because if you tell people they are having fun and getting value from the software, they will tend to believe you. Create value, but also tell them that you are creating that value. If there is a social or viral component in your software, if you tweet about using the software, if you invite your friends, if there's some sort of like friends list management, first, you should probably pre-populate that friends list using anything that you can possibly do because people hate managing friends lists. But make sure that goes in the first 5 minutes because it will greatly increase your viral factor, and that like literally makes or breaks businesses. Zynga obsesses about this. Not a win for the world. Dropbox obsesses about this. That was a win for the world. If, on the other hand, your software requires a lot of data entry, like you're mocking up things or creating documents or making bingo cards for people, figure out a way to eliminate the data entry as a prerequisite for actually getting the fun use of the software. Maybe give them sample templates that they can use, or just put in fake data and give them a blow away the fake data button. Okay, this is a very deep topic. I have a 45-minute deep dive available at training.calzumius.com. I'll tweet a link to that later if you give me your email address. You can download the video anytime. I'm actually not trying to sell you stuff. In fact, when I actually have something to sell you, send me an email and say I was at MicroConf. I'll give it to you for free. Okay. All right, how much time do we have for questions? We can take a few. Do people want to proceed directly to the questions, or was that consulting thing like motivational? Show of consulting thing, okay. So what do? We talked about this earlier. The way to extract money from any company is to promise them one of two things. Either you're going to increase their revenue or you're going to reduce their costs. I'm kind of terrible at firing people, and that's the best way to reduce costs for most companies. But I'm kind of good at scalably increasing revenue. So that's what I do. By trade, I'm a programmer. If I was less savvy about this, I might describe myself as I'm a Ruby on Rails developer who knows a few things about a few things. But Ruby on Rails developers, they're hard to hire right now. But if you have like $200 an hour, you can find Ruby on Rails developers. But don't compete with all the Ruby on Rails developers in the world, because GitHub is lousy with them. Instead, say that you are giving an offering that will increase their revenue by a lot. And I can point to particular customers of mine that they will find very credible within their space and say, we worked with Patrick, and then our revenue durably did a stair-step function. And I said, what is a stair-step, 100% increase in sales of your software as a service product worth to your company if you have $10 million of sales right now? Oh, 20 million. Oh, great. Then I'm pretty cheap compared to the 10 million marginal revenue you'll get. And you get very little pushback on prices, no matter how much you bump it up. So scarily little. Yeah?
Do you when you make that sale, you kind of guarantee it or say, if I don't reach this, you don't pay more than that? You know what I mean?
No. So I'm sufficiently credible about this thing. I think most of my customers actually succeed because most of them invite me back. But so let's say a week of my consulting rate is similar to the fully loaded cost of hiring an engineer for a month. If you have an engineer work for you for a month and the product fails, like most products do, the engineer doesn't give a salary back, right? I mean, now plus the pricing structure would be very radically different if there was downside to me if it didn't work out. If there's downside to me if it doesn't work out, there should be substantial upside to me if it works out. So if I double the sales for the company, I think as a close approximation, I should own half the company afterwards. I've actually used that line on people before, and they've been like, ooh, that's cheeky. But we'll go with the cheap option, where the cheap option is like $20,000 a week or whatever. That is just a representative number. That is not a quote. So how turning down the $700,000 work out? So I went to a company in a far-off land, which is not the United States, because the United States is a far-off land for me, but a different far-off land. And I did some stuff. Can I talk about what the stuff I did? I can't talk about specifically what the stuff I did, but if you've listened to my conference presentations or read my blog, you know that I really like A/B testing, and I really like search engine optimization, and I really like, say, designing the first 5 minutes of software, and I really like, redesigning purchasing pages to extract more money from businesses that don't care about how much money that gets extracted from them. So I did some combination of those things for a particular software company and made them a lot of money. Like a company that was making X, so say 8 figures of revenue, went to a different 8 figures of revenue. But there's a lot of play in the 8 figures range. And that was after working for them for 2 weeks. And so the CEO said, hey, the rate, I'll just say it was kind of embarrassing for me, but the rate I quoted them was $20,000 a week. So why am I embarrassed? Because I'm kind of, part of me has always thought that I'm really not worth that, and I'm just good at bamboozling people. But this engagement was the one that turned it around, because we got, one of the things I generally insist on is, okay, I like this metric stuff. I'm going to get metrics for the before and after. We're going to A/B test, and we'll see if this actually worked. And came back 2 weeks later, and we looked at the metrics, and I'm like, oh, I must have misimplemented that. And he says, the bank account disagrees with you. And I'm like, oh, wow, oh, wow, oh, wow, oh, wow. And he said, so what was it, $20,000 a week or whatever we're paying you? CEO doesn't even know. I mean, that's not a motivational amount of money to a CEO at an 8-figure-a-year company, despite the fact it's kind of a motivational number for me. And he said, what was it, $20,000 a week? So if you consult 50 weeks a year, that's a cool $1 million. But you can't actually consult 50 weeks a year, so there's like overhead and whatnot. You have downtime, and you have to like go to conferences to meet people like me. So let's call it a 30% haircut to that. So that would be like, what, $700,000? Is $700,000 a motivational amount of money to you? Like, and I'm like, wow. Is that on the table? It's like, I'm the CEO. We're sitting at a table. Wha-bam. So my life flashed before my eyes, and I'm like, wow, no, wow. I guess the follow-up question to that is, why did I say no to that? Consulting is the right thing for me right now. I have a wedding to plan for. I have 2 weddings to plan for, one in Japan, one in the US. People with iPads are successfully convincing me I'm probably still in your position, but for the consulting business. So I would love to help you by coming here and spreading knowledge and talking to you and taking your emails anytime. My email's up on the screen. But I just, doing it as a day job again is not something that's motivational for me, even for more tea than there is in China, I think is the expression. Well, $700,000 is a lot of tea. I'm sorry, not meaning to brag there.